All right, folks, I believe we are live and we are excited to be here. My name is Eric Abbey. I see Ashley with us. I see Jonathan. Welcome aboard. It's good to have you guys with us. We are talking arbitrage today, so it is noon Central Standard Time, and we are excited to dedicate this hour every Saturday to doing arbitrage. And I have my friend Regina Robinson with me. So Regina, say hello to our viewers.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. I see a couple names I recognize from our membership, so glad to see you could join us again. But yeah, this is exciting. I like doing this with Eric. We have fun.
Yeah, we do, and I'm glad that you're willing to join us. And it is fun to see our members. As coaches with Just One Dime, we're excited that we have an Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership up and running, all focused on arbitrage. Again, if you're new to the world of Amazon, just be aware that selling on Amazon isn't static. That if you choose to sell on Amazon, now you've got a number of choices as to how you want to approach it. And there's different lanes that you can be in. You can do what we do, which is arbitrage, where you're simply finding usually a small quantity of items in one market where you can get them at a discount price, and then you're leveraging a higher price on the Amazon marketplace online to make money. And Amazon has created something called FBA, which stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, and they handle on a large scale all of the work that you need to do, a majority of the work that you need to do when it comes to warehousing items, picking them off the shelf when they sell, packing them in boxes, shipping them, handling customer service, handling returns, offering their one-day prime shipping that Amazon does now. All that can be yours if you're utilizing the world of FBA. And that's kind of the arbitrage lane. And that's what we're advocating during this hour. That's what we are promoting. And that's what our membership, Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, does, is it coaches you and guides you and gives you a community to excel doing arbitrage. Now, we don't think it's the only way to sell on Amazon. Lots of people do wholesale and find it very successful. Probably a smaller percentage of the population does drop shipping. And I'm personally pretty nervous about that, and we don't really recommend it, but some have found ways to make it successful. And a lot of people label and brand their own products and are kind of functioning in the lane of private label. And Just One Dime has a fantastic membership that guides you into creating your own product, differentiating it from the competition, and really being able to take advantage of finding a supplier that can provide you with really the basic raw materials of what you've designed, and then you brand it and sell it, and that can be a great potential moneymaker. So there's a lot of different ways that you can sell on Amazon. We don't think Amazon, that arbitrage is the only way that you should do it, but we love arbitrage, and that's why we're here. And Regina has excelled at it, and she's been able to see the margin in her life, in her budget increase, which gives her a capacity to begin doing more of the things that she really wants to do, more of the things that she's convicted to do. That gives her a little more freedom, a little more control over how she manages her life. And that can mean spending more time with people. It can mean traveling. It can mean a whole number of things, depending on however she is organizing and thinking about her life. So Regina, would you give us a little glimpse into how an increase in margin has just helped you to be freed up? Maybe give us an example of a goal you've attained, or something that you can do now that you weren't able to do prior to selling on Amazon. Can you think of something that would give us some insight into how you've been able to leverage arbitrage to accomplish those sorts of ends?
Yeah, I'll say since I started a couple of years ago, it's definitely been an adventure. And those of you that are just starting on Amazon or have been there for a couple of years or 6 months, it doesn't matter. It's going to be an adventure for you. You definitely are going to you're going to work hard. You're going to be able to accomplish a lot. You get a lot of frustrations. And I like to relate back to, there's a little sign hanging over Eric's head. It's called hustle. Yeah, thanks, Eric. And let me tell you, you're going to hustle and you're going to be tired, but you know what? It is so worth it. So what I've been able to do because of that, of the arbitrage, is as I've been growing, whatever profit you make, you put right back into the business, and you buy more products. And that's how you're going to start making more and more. Eventually, then you can have enough to where maybe you can help to pay off some of those extra bills, or save up a little bit maybe for your kids' education, or save up extra that you're wanting to go away for the weekend because you just want to. You don't have a reason or whatever. but also it's helped me to where I'm not actually having to work as much in my full-time job and actually helping me with my husband's business that he's doing. So it's become to where the two of us are able to do that together and put a lot more effort into it, to get our two brains together and two bodies together and build that up as well. So you can make it what you want it for whatever it is you're wanting to accomplish. Just start and just do it and just keep going and just don't stop and just keep reinvesting in yourself and in your company too.
That's really cool. So what I'm hearing Regina say is that she's not necessarily working less. Now she's putting in work and she's putting in hustle to get her Amazon business going. So that margin doesn't just appear immediately or quickly or easily. Never on this program and never within the Just One Dime memberships have we advocated doing quick flips or trying to make a quick dollar or finding an easy road to big money or something like that. We just don't think that's reality. And we don't think that that's possible for large numbers of people. I mean, I suppose you could get lucky at any number of venues and that could turn into a windfall. But what we're advocating is something that we're convinced works, that can be data driven so that you're making educated decisions and you're confident about the investments you're making and you're building a business. And our desire for you is that you would be able to build a business that creates margin that would sustain itself and would be a long-term thing that you could leverage so that a year from now and 3 years from now and 5 or 10 years from now, you still have margin. Maybe it's even increasing margin because you've established something that's real. I mean, I'm coming up on my 5th anniversary of having done arbitrage on Amazon for 5 years. And the margin has grown. I didn't have it instantly, but what I did is I was able to build and sustain significant margin that now not only has enabled me to buy a home, but to continue to pay down on the mortgage and to make career adjustments that I'm anticipating will be permanent. Now, you know, nothing's a promise, nothing's a guarantee. So I'm not prophetic. I don't know what the future holds for Amazon or for arbitrage or for our country for that matter. But what I'm trying to say is that we're advocating something that is permanent and really takes work. So Regina's admitting I've had to put in some work. I've had to put in some hustle to build this thing, but then notice the flexibility she had and the ability she has had to manage her own choices. So maybe she's not even, it doesn't even sound like she's working less in non-Amazon spheres, but what she's been able to do is to choose to work less here and choose to work here with her husband and maybe take risks or make adjustments that she wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And see what that is it's freedom. It's freedom to begin to make those adjustments because you've got that margin. And I made a very massive career change because, and I made a career change that meant I was getting paid way less. And I was able to do it because of my Amazon business. And the decision was made based on conviction, based on how I wanted to be spending my time and my energy. And it wasn't just financially driven, but the financial freedom that I had, the margin that I had created, then enabled me to bob and weave in my life choices and to make choices that aligned the majority of my time and energy with my convictions. So if you're following what I'm saying, really this can fit and work for anybody in a number of different circumstances. And there's no boilerplate way of managing it in your own life. And then if you take arbitrage and dovetail that with something like private label or wholesale, now you've diversified your portfolio and you're building your toolbox and your opportunities, and you're probably increasing and growing your margin. So we're big fans of selling on Amazon. We think it's an opportunity that is really worth grabbing hold of. And from everything that we can see, that opportunity is just growing and Amazon's moving in a good direction. And it's certainly not something that was an opportunity and now no longer remains an opportunity. Regina and I and Alan, who's been on the program, and Jens, who's been on the program, and other guests that we've had are seeing ongoing success with this opportunity. So I'm seeing good questions. I'm seeing you guys. A hello to everybody. Alex says the hustle sign is on point. I just think we want to be working hard at developing margin. I saw this and I just thought it would look cool. Nathan Clark is asking, where is Seth? I don't know. Maybe in Texas. He might be doing arbitrage because he likes to yard sale on Saturdays. Seth and I have joined forces, and during this hour, he allows me to use the Just One Dime channel. He's invited me to do so that we can focus on arbitrage. And I've been leading the charge on this new membership that Just One Dime has, Amazon Arbitrage Mastery. Click the link below and take a look at it. Again, if you do private label, but you don't do arbitrage, this would be a great way to diversify your portfolio. It'd be a great way to generate some capital. Capital tends to come in more quickly through arbitrage, though it's a little less, and it's kind of a steady, consistent. People use it as a foundation to then build their own brand on top of. And if you're just exploring Amazon, arbitrage is a great way to get started and maybe build a platform, build up your selling experience to then transition into private labels. So I'm not Seth Kniep. My name's Eric Abbey. I'm a coach for the Just One Dime Amazon Arbitrage Mastery Program. We do free Q&A every Saturday at noon Central Standard Time, and that's why we're here. And I'm seeing that there's questions coming. And Regina, I'm going to start pushing some of these questions to you. So get your arbitrage coaching hat on. I'm confident that Regina has a lot of really helpful things to share with us today. She's coached for some time. She has a successful arbitrage business herself. And I see that Salima has a Q4 question. We want to talk a little bit about fourth quarter during our program. So let's just lead right off with this question, and then we can transition to talking about some other fourth quarter items. But Salima says, what did you guys sell your very first Q4? Regina, when was your first Q4?
2 years ago.
About
2 years ago. Mm-hmm.
So can you think back and see, is there anything that stands out to you about that first fourth quarter that was kind of fun for you, or you made good money, or it was noteworthy?
I joined Just One Dime at Amazon, so about September, October. So I was sort of coming into fourth quarter a little late. So that fourth quarter was a challenge, okay, but it can still be done. I don't really remember what it was I sold, to tell you the truth, but I remember last year I sold a lot of things. What I found out is almost anything sells fourth quarter. That's the best part. You're going to find out that some of the prices might be a little bit higher than normally throughout the year during fourth quarter, because the velocity of just sales is going to be, of course, that much higher and all. But I've sold holiday items just for that year. Pick a holiday, it's all going to work. I've sold things even just for summer, because you have summer down in Florida, and I live here in Tennessee, so you can find things that are going to be for that, even gardening. A lot of sports things can also be sold, anything outdoors, but you can also sell a lot of winter things as well. So you got the gamut here in the United States of all different things you can see. But I would say, while normally you don't want to put yourself in a little hole and just focus on one thing, but things for the holidays actually do sell pretty well, because most people nowadays will go online to buy things to decorate their house, or to set up something for a gift, or they're going to plan a party for their work or something like that, or for their family. They have to have things for their dinner table, for the holiday meals and stuff. So that is a good one. But also don't focus on just that, because then what will happen when the holidays are over and come January, you're going to be filled. Your store full is going to be filled with items that will still sell. People will still buy them after the holidays at a lower price. But now they're looking for items that they can sell that they can purchase for, let's say, their son's birthday coming up, or grandma's, her, 90th birthday is happening. So you want to make sure you're diversifying all the different topics, all the different items that you have. So, sky's the limit as far as anything is what you can put on there.
Yeah, my first fourth quarter. Wow. So I started selling in early December of 2014. And I remember my first purchase was from Toys R Us. And I spent like $80 on 5 different items. And I remember being nervous, and my heart was beating. And I thought, this is the silliest thing I've ever done. I'm buying, almost $100 worth of toys, and I'm going to, I just can't afford to be spending $100 on toys that I'm not going to get my money back for. I was pessimistic. I was just concerned, skeptical that it wasn't going to work. But, I had scanned and done some basic stuff, and I sent in those few items. I can't remember how many it was. But, they sold so fast. It just blew me away. And I think for 2 or 3 weeks, up until Christmas, I was buying, and I did some FBM stuff just because I wanted to sell as a merchant to get it out before Christmas came. And I was selling these Minion remote control Minion things. They were kind of inflatable, but they were remote controls. And I just bought all of them I could find, and I was selling them left and right, and seeing that it worked. And that was kind of the beginning of my journey. And I agree with Regina. So Salima, I think, people, fourth quarter is strong because people are spending money, and they're spending money primarily on gifts. They're seeing family. They're anticipating holidays. Christmas is such a big one, and they're buying specific items. So if my daughter wants something for Christmas, I'm inclined. I've never spent like $200 on a Tickle Me Elmo or something like that. So I want to, as a dad, I feel convicted to avoid crazy fads, but within reason. Like if my daughter is really dying for something, it's so fun to go out and find that item she wants and buy it for her for Christmas. And I'm always willing to spend more money to get her that special gift than if it's like July and I've told my kids they can find a $10 item or something. Now I'm in like frugality mode, and I'm telling my kids that they can't have the higher end items, or that's costing too much. And so I just think there's a mindset for people when they're doing life in the fourth quarter and they're more willing to spend money. I see items that I sell all year long double in price in the fourth quarter because there's more demand, and the price goes up, and people are willing to spend the extra money to get that thing that they want during a special season. And so I don't think you limit yourself. You use the same basic principles that we teach when it comes to analyzing the data that Amazon gives you, and you find quality products. And then you anticipate that those quality products are going to sell quicker and at a higher price than they might at other times. But if you're thinking that way, then whatever you have come January is going to continue to be a seller. It's just not going to be, it's hard in November and December to not wake up in the morning and just look at your Amazon seller app because you want to see how many things you sold, because you're just blowing through items in your inventory. So fourth quarter is just an exciting time. There is one other thing that I do, and I didn't do this right away, but probably 2 years ago I started doing it, where in late December and early January, I do hit Christmas clearance pretty hard. So, and then I store the items. So right here, my video room has a bunch of cupboards, and I have a bunch of Christmas things that I've been storing. So here's an example. I bought this at a retail store late December, early January, and I'm sure it was 75 or maybe even 90% off. And I got a big pile of these, and I bought some of these, and I bought some inflatables like this big waving Santa Claus, and on and on. Here's some Disney Magic Holiday projector lights. I don't do this to my house really, although I did put one up. I got a return last year and it worked, and my kids convinced me to put it on the house as a countdown to Christmas. But I have a huge storage area full of Christmas things, and I will send those in probably in the next week or two because I want them to be in an Amazon warehouse and live with FBA so that they'll sell, and people are going to start buying stuff for Christmas and for decorating pretty quick. So October, November, I want them in there, and I want them to move. And so I've just sat on these. Normally, when I buy a product, I immediately send it to a fulfillment center because I don't want to be holding on to it. But for Christmas, I've carved out a spot in my house where I can store it, and I just sit on those for about 9 months. And then I'll send in all that Christmas stuff right away. So those are some thoughts for fourth quarter. We'll probably come back to that as we talk through the program and maybe mention fourth quarter again. Do you have good prep center recommendations? We're being asked. If you look below in the description, there is a link right there where you can get a list of over 70 prep centers that we recommend. My approach to prep centers, my recommendation as you approach prep centers would be to talk to multiple prep centers and to view your connection with them as a relationship. Get to know each prep center, find out how they do business, certainly find out what they charge, find out how they approach Amazon, get to know them a little bit, and then, maybe even use a couple prep centers to do some of your first shipments and see how it goes. I've developed a really good relationship with one prep center that I use consistently, and we're on a first name basis. I can call them, I can ask questions, I can talk through problems, and I'm I'm confident that they're handling things well, that they're an advocate for me. So finding a prep center involves some of that. Regina, what kind of experience have you had? Have you used a prep center?
I have actually called several prep centers, and it was very unique in each one and how they handle their business. So you have to find one that's going to work with you the way that you want to work. Okay. I found that the one thing that was most important to me is that when I call them, they actually answer the phone or they return a phone call. Because I did call several of them where I would leave messages and I never heard from them. I want to, as Eric said, must be able to pick up the phone and give them a call and talk with them, and maybe you got something special you want to discuss with them, how they want to handle it, and so on and so forth. So you want to be able to talk to someone is really sure. As far as location, I hear about the states where there's tax-free status is a positive, but it's not the end all. If you don't do it, it's not a problem. You'll still pay your taxes. You can work on that with your accountant at the end of the year. But find one that you can work with, and ask them how it is that they handle to where they can how is they're going to get your labels and everything, get your labels to them, and if you have to do some of the front end work before, or are they going to do some of it for you? So yeah, just ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, so I think you want to date your prep centers and kind of find out before you make a strong commitment and marry one, and that would be our approach. But check out the link below to get started on that. There are a lot of prep centers out there. See a few more questions from Salima. How much would you recommend to start investing retail arbitrage initially? And I agree with Alex B. Salima, one of the cool things about arbitrage is you can invest simply what you can afford. And so if you have $100, you can start with that $100. That's what I did. Like I said a minute ago, I bought a few toys and I was skeptical. And so I wanted to see what they would do. And I got my 80 or $100 back very quickly. And so I went out and I spent more, and I got that back, and I took baby steps. So I invested some, I saw what it did, I got a payout. I invested more, saw what it did, I got another payout, and I just kept kind of reinvesting until I got more confidence under me. And then based on how much money I had at my disposal to invest in something, and based on opportunities I was finding and how my confidence grew, I began to invest more and more. And so by month 2, certainly month 3, I was pushing in $2,000 to $3,000 a month, but it wasn't in a vacuum. I was getting payouts, and I was using my payout money to then make further investments. So that $3,000 wasn't something I just like borrowed from somebody or pulled out of a savings account. It was money I generated. And meanwhile, my inventory was building, so I could see that I was not only getting payouts, but my inventory was increasing, and I was moving in a really good direction. So I think one of the cool things about arbitrage on Amazon is you can tailor it to your personality. Some of you you got a bunch of money you want to invest, and you're a little more of a risk taker, and you just jump in, and you could accelerate your business by putting in more money quicker. But you want to control yourself to find really good opportunities and make sure you're buying quality products. So we're not advocating that you go out and just spend a bunch of money on items that you think might sell, or items that you like and you hope will sell on Amazon. When people do that, they get frustrated and they make it way riskier than it needs to be, because they're not making data-driven, calculated decisions based on being educated about what they're doing. So now they're like, this arbitrage thing doesn't work because none of my items sold, but they didn't buy items that already have a precedent of selling on Amazon. Or they sell a bunch of items and they don't make any money because they're not buying items with a good margin, or they're buying items where the price drops really quick, and now they're frustrated because they've made sales, but they've lost money, or they've just broken even, and all their effort isn't showing a profit. And that's why I recommend the Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, because we do a deep dive on how Amazon provides all the data you need to make good decisions about quality products. And then maybe you're finding opportunities where those good quality products can be purchased, and that's driving how much you invest. Any comments on that, Regina?
No, I agree with you, because I think we've all had mistakes, oopses, where we bought a product that looked good at the beginning, but then you had somebody come in and lowball the price. Unfortunately, that does still happen, and you have no control over that, and you're not going to know. So if that does happen, you don't think you've done something wrong, but it just sort of leads you to make sure that you analyze your next products even more carefully. And if you can get the graphics and the data, like on a HEPA graphic, you can see what the pricing was for like the past year. That will definitely help you a lot.
Yeah. Regina, do you have any tips on how Loving It, who's with us often on these programs, can get ungated in the automotive category?
Well, I didn't know the automotive was gated. Well, it depends on the products. You never know if you're going to be gated for a particular area or not. The best thing you can do is when you're trying to go out there and you're scanning products, whether it's online or in the retail stores, try to request permission to get ungated on every single one that you can. Now, what's going to happen is it could be the majority of them you're not going to get permission to sell, so you're going to remain gated. But you're going to see some of them are going to open up to you, and as soon as you ask for permission, poof, you're just automatically ungated for that particular item, category, brand. It depends on what you're trying to get ungated in. So that is your first place to start, and then the areas that you do get ungated, focus on those areas and those items that you're going to get your products from. For the other ones that you don't get ungated, just sort of push them to the side. Don't let it bother you because you didn't get ungated. Those are probably going to stay ungated for maybe a little while longer, probably for good reason. It could be the companies are not allowing everybody to sell it. So just work on the things that you have that you are able to sell, because what will happen is eventually as you sell more of those like items such as automotive, then some of the other ones may open up as time goes on as well. Amazon wants to see that you're a good seller, that you're not trying to play games, your products are good, and you're there to run a business, and that's what they want. They want their customers to be happy, and they want to see that you're going to do everything you can to make sure they stay happy.
Good. That's a really good answer. Let me, if you have a follow-up question, type it in the chat. How long did it take you to be able to withdraw from business for living expenses? So in the beginning, what I did, my original goal was to get rid of family debt. So between December of 2014 and the end of 2015, I just had a separate account for my Amazon business, and I didn't touch it. And then when I submitted my taxes for the tax year 2015, I kind of waited to see when the dust settled, excuse me, how much I had left. So I didn't pull on it at all within the first year because I just wanted to kind of play it safe, let the end of the year close and do taxes and make sure everything was settled and I wasn't spending money that I was going to be expected to pay to the government or whatever. And at the end of that year, then I looked at what I had and I pulled a massive chunk out of my business account to use personally to pay down that debt. And I left enough in the business account that I thought it could kind of generate momentum for the following year. And that was my pattern for the following year, just because I didn't need it immediately. I just was trying to save up money for a house. So I was kind of letting it generate to the side. Then when I registered with the state and became an S corp, part of that was beginning to pay myself. And so that was year 2 that I began to actually pay myself a paycheck, or maybe closer to year 3. But I was really slow. I was really, really slow. I think it would be reasonable to think that you could start drawing to create margin in your actual budget between like 6 and 9 months. But again, we're not advocating a quick flip. So if you're wanting to build your inventory and reinvest some of that initial money, my thinking is have a long-term vision for how you're not going to really start drawing consistently from your business until you've established the business, you've got a sizable inventory, you've gotten some paybacks and some momentum. And I personally wouldn't make any decisions, career decisions or dramatic decisions that are then going to put you in a place of dependence on the business until you're really sure that the business is in a good place. That was just my experience. Was yours different, Regina?
That's about the same. You're gonna ramp up at your speed, no matter how slow or how quick it is. Just make sure that you're going to continue to struggle and hustle and ramp up.
Yep. AMNS is asking about invoices. If Amazon asks for them, what in retail arbitrage, when you have a receipt from a place like Walmart or Target, what those do not do is qualify for invoices that you would need to submit to get ungated in a particular brand or category. So when Regina was talking about applying to be ungated in a particular category or item, so you're restricted to sell an item, we always say click apply to get that restriction lifted right away. And sometimes it happens instantaneously. They just automatically give you a removal and an approval, removal of that restriction. But if they ask you for invoices, none of those documents qualify in order to get you, ungated for a particular brand. What those receipts do accomplish is they allow you to prove to Amazon that the IP complaints and the trademark complaints against you are illegitimate. So somewhere down the line, I saw a question about that. Tina McDonald says that she is intrigued by arbitrage but terrified of IP claims. How do you protect yourself? Is there a master list of brands to stay away from? No, there's not a master list of brands to stay away from. You've heard Alan and I mention particular brands at certain times that seem to be troublesome to us. But like his experience with Saucony has not been good, and I've sold Saucony and it's been fine. I've had no trouble. So I'm not even sure how consistent that is. The world of IP claims in Amazon, in my opinion, is pretty punky right now. And it's because Amazon's trying to get its mind around all these third-party sellers and the brand kind of competition that's happening, and all the hijackers, the illicit third-party sellers that are coming in and causing trouble. So what we're doing in the world of arbitrage is we're simply finding brand products that match the listing precisely. So there's no trademark violations. There's no intellectual property concerns. Everything we're doing is legal. We're protected by law to do it. If you buy a Nike shoe and sell it on an Amazon listing that outlines that specific model of shoe and calls it a Nike shoe and the two match, you're completely legitimate. And now all you need to do is demonstrate to Amazon that you're a legitimate seller, and receipts are sufficient for that. So this has happened to me a number of times. I get IP complaints. I appeal the complaint. And Tina, what you need to do to protect yourself is have an organized system of keeping track of your receipts and being able to submit them to Amazon. So then I write an email to Amazon. It's a pain in the butt is what it is, but you try not to get frustrated and recognize this is part of running my business. I submit an email as an appeal to Amazon saying these IP complaints are something that we have a great concern over. We want to prove the authenticity of the items that we're selling, so please see the receipts below, and Amazon will respond to that. And I think 9 times out of 10, when an account gets suspended, it's because the seller has ignored those IP complaints. They haven't responded to them, and so now Amazon's kind of put them in a category as counterfeiter or hijacker or illegitimate business, and you don't want to be seen that way. Or people get their account suspended because they're doing illegitimate stuff, and Amazon's trying to get those sellers out. So I don't think you need to be terrified, Tina, about IP claims. You just need to recognize they're going to come at you. Anyone who sells on Amazon is going to get IP complaints and trademark complaints, and you need to be willing to do the work to respond to them and prove that what you're doing is legitimate. I mean, Regina, you must have gotten IP complaints, and you must be having to handle those as a part of your business. Does that make you anxious? And if so, how do you deal with the anxiety of having that as a part of your experience?
I think when I got my first one, I was very nervous because I'd heard all kinds of horror stories. But then I provided the receipts as they asked, and then Amazon removed the complaint from me because I was able to prove that I had actual genuine items that I had purchased from a retail store. Since then, I've probably received another 3, 4, 5 complaints, IP complaints against me. The latest one I'm still working on because it's actually from an attorney's group that actually does a lot of work just on this, and actually works with Just One Dime himself. So trying to get that removed as well. And even though I wrote back, I said, hey, I got receipts for this. It's an arbitrage item, and they're saying it's still a patent infringement. And I said, well, no, it's not, because I'm selling the actual item. And so I'm still going back and forth with that. So I still have the complaint sitting on my account, but I have then responded to Amazon to try and get that resolved. I've also asked the attorney, please remove your complaint. And also it's extra work. It's frustrating because it's taking time away from what you want to do, which is to build your business. But it is just part of doing business. It's just some of those things you're just going to have to do as you probably take care of on your regular jobs. Whatever it is you do, your regular jobs, you have to take care of some items that might be frustrating for you. That is just part of that job as well. It's just sometimes we don't think about that when it's personal to us like that. But everybody's going to have that against them. That's nothing new.
Good. Yeah. And we've seen a lot of people who get their account suspended, get the account reactivated. And so even in what might feel like the worst case scenario for you, if your account gets suspended, it can get reinstated. And I've had that happen. My account has been suspended and I got it reinstated. And that made me really anxious. It wasn't without fear and trepidation, but I survived. It was fine. And really that year was a fantastic year. When I looked back on it, but during that little window of time that I was struggling with the fears of having my account suspended, it was tough. It was really tough. And I was so thankful I had a Just One Dime community to help me. I mean, do you know that in our memberships, we provide you with a template and all the documentation you need to file an appeal for an IP complaint, to file an appeal for a trademark complaint, and how to reinstate your account if you get suspended. All that is a part of our membership. I mean, the memberships are valuable because they have all manner of details like that. And we tailor make the memberships to what our members are struggling with. So there's times when a member will say, I'm struggling with this, and we jump in. And if we don't have something created to address that need, then we create it and incorporate it into our membership. Selling on Amazon is dynamic, and so new things are always coming up. So in addition to all our course material, in addition to all the bonus videos that we supply and the community that you can be a part of, we are constantly updating the membership with new videos, with ninja tricks that we have, with things that will help you as you move along. So please check out the link below. Take a look at the membership. Nathan, I'm not going to tell Seth to lower the price of his program. That's not my place. I haven't even talked to Seth about pricing, but I'll tell you this, and this is only my opinion, Nathan, so take it for what it's worth, but I'm anticipating that the price of Just One Dime memberships is going to go up. And the reason for that is because they are cheaper than almost all the other course material that's out there. And Just One Dime provides you with so much more than a course. It's a whole membership, and it's robust. And when I joined Just One Dime, it helped my sales in such a significant way. I mean, the price that you pay for Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, you could make up in just the free leads that you get through a month of leads lists. And I'm not trying to sell the program. It's just the reality of it is it's not a huge investment if your goal is to build a long-term business. And if the membership is going to enable you to sell effectively, you're going to regenerate that investment, and you're going to be thankful that you did it. So when I joined Just One Dime, I paid, X amount of money. And after being a member for a couple months, I had made X times 2 amounts of money, and it justified buying the program, and it set me on a trajectory for having years of increased success. It's been such a great experience. So, I mean, you've got to decide yourself as you're watching this program, as you're thinking about selling on Amazon and thinking about investing money, what you want to do. And memberships aren't for everybody. Just One Dime isn't for everybody, and we're clear on that. But we want to hold out what we think is a really valuable opportunity and ask you to participate in it. And because we're convinced it'll work. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that it was going to be encouraging to you and helpful to you and fruitful for you. Yvonne asks, I think it says Skechers. I think that's Skechers that sell like shoes and stuff. Is that a restricted item for new Amazon sellers? I think new Amazon sellers are restricted in a lot of brands and a lot of shoe brands specifically, but I don't know that there's a boilerplate, and I'm restricted in brands that Alan can sell, and Alan's been selling like 2 or 3 years less than I have. So we're able to laugh about it, but I'm like, Alan, how did you get ungated in that brand? I've been selling for 5 years. I'm still gated in it. And, I don't know how to answer that. Maybe he sold, more women's shoes than I did. He does. So I don't know what all the factors are that play into that. But as you build your business and as you sell on Amazon, as you continue to apply to get ungated, you're just going to see more and more doors open. Let me throw this question at you, Regina. If you have to take a minute to think about it, that's fine. How many hours do you search for products? So when you're doing RA throughout the week, and my understanding, I'm guessing you do both RA and OA. Is that right? So you're doing retail arbitrage, you're doing online arbitrage. Do you do this? Do you put in the same amount of time for each? And as you're doing it, on average, how much time are you spending on a weekly basis researching products?
I would say when I'm online, I could easily spend 2 to 4 hours at one shot and try. It depends on the week how it's going, as to whether I'm going to be sitting down for a couple times a week or just one time. But what's interesting is once you get on that computer and you start doing your research and you're finding some good stores, they've got some really good sales. And as you're diving into those sales on all these, and there's so many stores to go that you can get online with and get all their sales notices. Then you're going to start diving down into the products. Then let's say you're starting with some Skechers or some shoes or something like that. And okay, maybe you're not finding something. You found a little bit. And you put that in your shopping cart. Well, let me go look at something in the kitchen, or let me go look for something in sports or something in toys. So just that one store alone, you could spend another hours or two, depending on how far you're wanting to do your search, into areas that you maybe didn't go there originally. So it's easy to spend a good couple of hours there, at least at a minimum. And depending upon your schedule as to whether you can spend the extra couple hours as you drive deep into that store, you may also go to 20 different storefronts online as you're trying to research items as well. So it just all depends on what you're wanting to do. Now, I always say when I do the RA, the retail arbitrage, I spend more hours doing that. So I don't do it quite as often. I usually will do it on a Saturday or a Sunday, typically a Saturday. But what I like about retail arbitrage, I think it's more fun. I really do, because I can get in the stores, I can walk around, I can touch, I can feel, I can pick the products up, I can see if the quality is okay. So it gives me a lot of information that I use for the products that I'm going to choose. And I make sort of like a day out of it. Now, do I spend almost the whole day doing that? Yeah, I do. But I also stop and get lunch. So it's almost like a day out. But you're sort of just shopping for your business. So while it's fun shopping for people who love shopping, it's also helping your business. It gets you out of the house and out of work, and you get to have lunch with your friend, your husband, your spouse, whoever it is. So it almost can involve the whole family as well when you're wanting to do both. So it depends on what your goal is. Some people do not like doing retail, and that's perfectly fine, and they only want to do online. Or they may only be able to do online and they're selling in the U.S. because they don't live in the U.S., and that is their only choice. And all of that is perfectly fine. You'll find what is comfortable for you and what you're able to do. Maybe one week you could do more hours in one week, and another one you might just say, hey, I found so much in 30 minutes, and that happens as well. So I think it just depends on the day and the week. And right now, before fourth quarter, you're going to find a lot of stores are having a lot of sales. So take advantage of doing the research.
Yeah, one of the advantages to doing arbitrage on Amazon is you can tailor, I say this with a lot of aspects of the business, but you can tailor it to your own situation and your own schedule. And really you can adjust it week to week. There's tons of flexibility. I mean, I love the fact that I can get up early in the morning and work my business while my wife and kids are still sleeping. And so I can put in like 2 to 3 hours of work on the business, and it's not a withdrawal from my family. I'm not taking time away from the family. I'm taking time away from, I could be sleeping or doing something else, but I love that. I love that it's flexible that way. And so it's kind of hard for me to quantify how many hours a week I spend on it, because I do like Regina, and I just build it into all the nooks and crannies of my schedule. So I've never gone full time doing Amazon. I don't ever want to. It's just not what I want to do. So I'm always working a full-time job. I'm always doing extracurricular things. And those are more important to me than selling on Amazon. So they take the first priority in my schedule and in my to-do list and all that. And then I push Amazon into all the nooks and crannies of my schedule. So if I've got, a time before lunch that I can do RA, and I have I'm done in the office at 11:30 in the morning, but I'm meeting a buddy at lunch for 12:30. Now I've got, an hour to do RA, and I'll hit a couple stores on my way to wherever he's going to be meeting me for lunch. Or I'll do online arbitrage, late at night. I let it try to serve me that way. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, I probably spend between 10 and 15 hours a week, on average, doing both RA and OA, and I do about equal parts of the two. But some weeks I'm doing 20 hours, or 25 hours, and some weeks I'm maybe doing less. If I have a really busy week, or I took the job I took a couple months ago was as a pastor at my church, and I preached my first sermon like a month ago, and that just took a lot of work to prepare for that time. And so that week I was preoccupied with that. It was way more important in my mind than taking care of what was immediately needful for the business. And so I don't think I attended more than an hour or two to the business that week. And I loved that I could do that. I mean, I kept selling stuff, right? Amazon FBA is churning away. I'm making sales. It didn't stunt my business at all. And then the following week, I could make up for it a little bit by putting in a little extra time, getting all the items that had accumulated out the door and on their way to fulfillment centers. There's just so many ways you can flex. It's really cool. And that leads me to answer Alex B's question, which I think is a really good one. What are the biggest challenges you are facing or had to face in 2019? And for me, it's just managing my life. Now I have 4 kids, and I find as they get older, I get busier because they're just doing more activities that require, none of them can drive yet, but they're all doing more. So I get to be chauffeur and my wife does. And I took this new position as a pastor, which means I'm not working all those hours at IBM that I used to work, but I mean, ministry feels like a black hole of opportunity. And so knowing how to manage that, knowing how to manage my Amazon business, knowing how to take care of my kids, I signed up to be a coach for my son's football. And that has been way more time than I thought. So the challenge for me is just how to manage that and how to manage it well. And so for the first time ever, I was challenged by Alan as I heard him on our program. And for the first time ever, I've hired an employee. And so that's my attempt to navigate this, is to work with him. And I have a unique situation where I actually hired somebody that I know and I'm friends with right here in Vermont. And so I'll keep you up to date in the months and years to come as to how that goes. But that's my attempt to kind of navigate what's been the real challenge for me. Regina, do you want to speak to what the biggest challenge has been for you? And then we'll hammer out a bunch of these questions. We'll try to go warp speed here.
I think balancing life, because you're doing the business on my, work with it's our other business that we have, myself and my husband, and then doing this business as well. And they both take up time doing it, but at the same time, it all comes together for a lot of good reasons, is the reason why we do it. Yeah.
Good answer. All right, rapid fire time. Advice for online out-of-town sellers. That's a really open-ended question, but our advice is find a good prep center, purchase your items, find discount items online that you can have shipped to your prep center at a U.S. address. Allow that prep center to ship items to a fulfillment center, so you're taking advantage of FBA, and because you've been able to set up a U.S.-based account, you have the ability to use a credit card and to have an account to receive your paychecks, and you're working your business. So now you're looking for opportunities online. And some advice I might give you, Salima, is to join our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership, because we have tons of people that are doing online arbitrage from outside the U.S. or from an out-of-town situation, and they collaborate all the time to talk about how they can excel at what they're doing. Victoria, do you need a special computer to start? Answer is no. I mean, you need one that's connected to the internet. So make sure you have one of those. But that's it. Did you start selling 3 to 5 products each at first? Yeah, that's what we recommend, is that you limit your quantities. So in private label or wholesale too, for that matter, you're focusing on one or a few items when you start, and then you're anticipating that you're going to be able to sell a lot of those items. And so you're going deep on one idea or one item, or in wholesale, maybe you're focusing on a few items and getting a lot of those, at least to start. In arbitrage, we say go wide, don't go deep. So we're trying to find lots of different items, a massive variety of items, and that mitigates your risk. And then we're recommending buy 3 to 5. If you've watched our program before, you know that Alan and I banter, because he always buys 2 or 3, and I often buy 10. Or if I see something, based on the data I'm seeing, if the BSR is a certain number or if the margin is a certain number, I'm happy to buy 20 or 30 of an item, and I crank on it. But yes, Salima, that's what we do. Alex B, if I may add a note, you can read his note. Matthew says the price seems high. I've already spoken to that. Trust me, if you compare it to what other programs are offering, it's not high. And if you compare it to the potential you have to making profit, it's not high. Let's see. Here you go. Regina, you can handle Sharon's question. Hey, would you suggest creating a brand of related products or selling hot, trendy products?
Yes and yes. You can do all of the above. You can get them to where they're related, but they're still individual products. Okay. Let's say if you're wanting to buy the tablecloth with the napkins and the napkin rings, and you can do that, but it's going to be still being individual listings, listings that are already developed, and you just sort of add to them. So while you think you've got all three, and if all three are great, then you can sell all three, but they're still going to be purchased individually.
So is that a private label question? I'm trying to understand what he's asking.
I think it'd still be arbitrage because you can. I've been out shopping like that where you see like the whole set, like the tablecloth napkins and all, where it's on the table and you can buy them all together. Now there might be a listing where it is all together, and if it is, then you can see if that's a good listing or not. If not, it might be better to separate them up, whether it's in the same product category or in something different.
Yeah, so our premise for arbitrage is that you are taking advantages of listings that already exist and are already ranking so that you can sell the identical item through Amazon without creating a new listing. So if in your question, Sharon, you're asking, would you recommend creating a new listing or something? As soon as you start doing that and maybe bundling your own products, you're really going in a different direction than we often recommend, because the challenge now is you got to get that listing to rank. And there's no precedent for that item selling. But if what you're saying is, you can buy grouped items, break them into individuals and sell them. As long as the item matches the listing exactly, you're fine. Or you can bundle items. I've done that before. I buy a beach towel and a pair of flip-flops, and there's a listing for a beach towel and flip-flops, and I just polybag them together, and I make that shipment at one item in that polybag. So it depends kind of how you're approaching that, but we never recommend creating new listings when you're doing arbitrage.
Eric, a question just popped up here on the Comcast one from Jonathan.
Okay.
So it's a good question. It says, do you have any strategy advice for doing online arbitrage using coal imports? Now, what's interesting, coal imports does deal with a lot of different products, and they could be a source of where you want to go ahead and buy some of your products. But what's good too is that Just One Dime has a relationship with coal imports that they were just talking about. So you can learn more about that by being a member of Just One Dime and see what the relationship is that they've got. That will be beneficial for you as well. But whether it be coal imports or some other ones, if you see some other companies out there that might help you to get those products and you can get them a good price and it's a good BSR, then the sky's the limit as far as what you can and the companies you can use.
Good. Can the app take pictures of the whole product and still find it on Amazon instead of taking a picture of the UPC label? Yes. And a lot of people don't know that. In fact, I think I went some time without realizing that myself. But so when you're scanning a product with your phone, 95% of the time you're scanning the UPC symbol. You're scanning the barcode. So you're just taking that, you're hitting it with a phone, and then you're seeing, does this item, is it listed on Amazon? Right? That's the first question. And if it is, then you're analyzing it based on BSR, margin, and other factors. Now, a lot of times if I have an item that I think is a good item, I scan the barcode and I see that there is no listing on Amazon. What I will do is I'll scan the front of the box. And it doesn't always work, but often it will work. It'll pick up the image, or it'll pick up some of the words, the lettering and the numbering on the package, and it will bring up a listing. Now, just be careful. Always be careful when you're scanning a product that what you find on your phone matches the product. That you always need to make sure that they match. So even when you scan barcodes, sometimes the app will do something funny. I mean, I've scanned something like LED lights before, and you get like a stuffed animal on your phone. That's kind of obvious. But you might scan a UPC code and get, a different variation of LED lights. Maybe it's, a box of 500 instead of 100 or 50. And then you don't have apples and apples. It's not a match, and you can't proceed until you find a match. So when you scan the front of it, not the UPC code, I think the probability of not getting a match will increase. So you just want to be real careful when you do that you're finding a match. But it is a cool way that you can find items when you're doing retail arbitrage when the UPC code doesn't work. Because sometimes I'm like, I know this is a good deal. I wish they were selling it on Amazon. And then I look at it and I'm like, my guess is this item's on Amazon somewhere. And so you can scan the front. You can also just go into the search window and it's time consuming. But if you think it's a really good product, you could just type in GE 100 LED Christmas lights or whatever and see what your word search will produce. And sometimes if you have a good item, it's worth going through the extra effort to find it that way. All right. I'm going to increase the speed of our rapid fire here because we're drawing to a close with our hour. What is the minimum quantity prep center can accept? It depends on the prep center, Emo. The prep center I use has no minimum quantity, and I like that. Others do, and you got to take a prep center at a time. New sellers are gated from selling all toys. That's not true when it comes to gating. Now, if you missed the requirements as a new seller for fourth quarter when it came to toys, then you're going to be limited in your ability to sell toys. But no, there's no flat restriction for new sellers to be gated from selling all toys. That's just not in play. How can I get an account back with Amazon once I close the professional account? We've talked a little bit about that. Ali, I can't really try to unpack that in the time that we have remaining. What are the fees associated with arbitrage? The biggest fee that I incur is FBA, taking advantage of fulfillment by Amazon. And it's a fee that I'm happy to pay because it's what's enabled me to scale my business. So if you do FBA, you're paying a number of fees for them to storage fees, pick and pack fees, return fees. There's things that are built into using FBA. And typically what we estimate is that Amazon will take 1/3 of your retail price. So if I sell an item for $30 on a whole, just generically, I'm assuming they're going to take $10. So if I can buy a product for $10 and sell it for $30 on Amazon, I'm anticipating that my ROI is right around 100%. That's our very general, but that's our general rule of thumb. And FBA is worth it, so I'm happy to pay those fees. And then there's any fees that a normal business would have. You need to buy labels. You need to buy, normal expenses. I bought a computer. I pay somebody to do my taxes, that sort of thing. You just need to take as your business grows, you take that into an account. Regina, real quick, how do you weigh bad review listings with good profit margin?
Well, you always try to get your profit margins 30-40% is what you want it to be. That is the goal, $7 to $10 usually per item. If you find that you get some bad reviews, it could be your competition because they want to keep the listing to themselves. You remember you're not making the product, so the reviews are on a product that you're buying in the store, so it's not your proprietary. If there is a bad review because the customer says, I didn't receive it on time, that is an Amazon problem. You can contact them. It's actually an easy way to do it. It's done automatically, and you can dispute that, and it can be taken off of your record too. So it depends on what the bad review is all about. So
good.
And I got one last question here that we can do right here from one of our members from Asla that says, can you scan the products online when doing online arbitrage? Well, if it depends on the clarity, you can try and use your phone. It may not work. If they have a picture of the box that you can get the number off of it, then you can try and use that. The better way to do it is just actually copy from online that actual product, copy and paste into Amazon, and then you should be able to find it if it exists being sold on Amazon.
Okay, 2 more minutes. Alex says he's talking about bad reviews for the product in the listing. My personal take on that is I don't really pay attention to the reviews of a product. I pay attention to the BSR. The BSR is going to tell me how that product is selling. If the product has bad reviews, it may affect the BSR, but my read is the BSR. That's how I'm focusing. So that's my opinion. That's how I approach it. Frank says, sorry, I missed this. What app is he using? I'm talking about the Amazon Seller app, which is free when you set up an Amazon Seller account. And by the way, if you missed things from earlier in the program, or if you've missed past programs, go to YouTube and find them. Subscribe to Seth Kniep's channel, and all the past arbitrage Q&As that we've done are available. You can rewatch this one if you really want to, or if you missed the first half of it or something like that. Favorite category to date for arbitrage for me, it's probably clothing and shoes. I saw a ton of those. And the only thing left is Matthew saying, sell me. Why just $1 dime? I don't know.
Can I touch that one?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I first started selling Amazon, I was not with just $1 dime. And let me tell you, I did things all wrong. That's probably why I don't remember my first fourth quarter selling, because I wasn't quite really into it and I made a ton of mistakes. So I wasted money buying things that were not going to sell. Somebody had a question there earlier, something about some telephone items, terrible things to try and sell because there's just such a strong market there from all these other sellers that are making their own. So I made some of those mistakes, and I had products that I probably still have that I haven't been able to get rid of. So that cost me money that I could have spent more valuable time. And then once I got into Just One Dime, I was able to learn. And then from there, I got better at my purchases. I was no longer wasting money. So if you think about the money that you've wasted or that you potentially could lose because of bad products that you just are not able to understand and the best way to do arbitrage, you could take that amount of money and you could triple that into the value that you're going to get out of Just One Dime, because you're going to learn so much. You have a special, Facebook group just for us that we can ask all the questions. We're here to help you. We have coaches that can help you. You can get, special coaching and everything. There is just so much more that is offered in the group, and you can join on your own, but you're probably going to make a lot of expensive mistakes. This is not an expensive mistake. It's actually expensive up front, but definitely well worth every single dollar.
Yeah, my answer to that is the community. And so, I have had such a valuable experience with the Just One Dime community because it a lot of times has served as a group think, and I've had coaches be super helpful for me, but I've also had other members be super helpful, and I've developed friendships, and I've met the people in the membership face to face, and it's been really fun, and I've gotten to know them well, and they've taken a real personal concern from the early days up until now for the struggles that I'm enduring, and when I post something and it's full of emotion because I'm excited that we've attained this goal, everybody celebrates with me. When I'm struggling with something, they rally around me, and they help troubleshoot. So when I got my account suspended, man, that was such a big deal for me. It was an emotional toll on me. I really had a hard time, and there were practical concerns of how do I get this thing reinstated. And I had the emotional support, I had the friendship, I had the practical help. I had people going to bat for me to really try to figure out how to get it reinstated. And it was because of them that I really found success with that specific issue. And I've loved the community. We are for one another. And so it's, now I'm not really in selling mode. I'm just in honesty mode. We want to see you succeed. When you experience margin in your budget, and that gives you freedom to do the things that are driven by your convictions and your desires, man, it feels so good. You're like, if I could promote this in anyone's life, I would do it in a heartbeat because it's such a sweet experience. And I want you to experience that freedom and that energy to be able to do the things that you want to do. It's as simple as that. And when you get a community rallying around you with that battle cry, it's awesome. It really puts energy and oomph into your business, and it helps you in a lot of ways personally. Well,
Yes.
we've gone over, but I really, want to try to address all the questions we can. Regina, thank you for being with us. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, have a great weekend. I don't know where you guys live. I don't know where you're doing the weekend, but in Vermont, it's like 75 degrees, and I can see right out my video room window. The sun is shining, and I'm going to go enjoy the day, play with my kids, and so hopefully you have something similar like that for the weekend. Thanks for tuning into the program or watching the replay. Click the link below and look at the membership. At least give it a look. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Check it out. Join us. I would love to coach you. Regina would love to coach you. We'd love to be linking arms with you to see you gain margin. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for tuning in. And you guys be blessed. Take care.
Bye-bye.